Welcome to Jockey 101. Class is in session, and today's lesson is the Runhappy Met Mile. Always a great race where you get horses turning back in distance that have the stamina, horses stretching out from sprints that have the speed. This is where the two worlds collide.
Incredible edition of this race this year, and I went to jockey school for one day. That's why I get to be part of this segment. We talked about this race as we're getting set to do this. We thought the break for two horses specifically was crucial to how this race is going to be run. Vekoma in post 2 is coming off the race of his life on the off track. Can he transfer that to a fast track? And McKenzie next door in post 3. We all know the brutal trip Mike Smith had on this horse last year in this race. Is that going to weigh on his mind at all?
I think Mike remembers last year's race. It probably bugs him to this moment. You get beat on a 10 claimer and get in trouble, it bothers you. So obviously the Met Mile, such a prestigious race, it's going to be weighing on his mind. I think that's going to make Mike ride a little more defensively, try to get more forward position so he doesn't have to wend his way through a field.
So, as we look at these races, Vekoma, he breaks just so incredibly sharp. At least he has the first couple of starts of his 4-year-old campaign. I think he's actually the quickest horse in the race, but I don't think Vekoma and Javier Castellano want the lead, but it looks like he probably will outbreak McKenzie early on. So what does that do to Mike Smith and McKenzie? How does it force their hand?
Well, McKenzie doesn't have as much gate speed as Vekoma. It usually takes him a little while to get his legs up underneath him, so I do think he will be outbroken. There's two speed horses drawn outside, Warrior's Charge and Mr. Freeze, and I think they're going to leave for position, although I wonder about Warrior's Charge. He has 2-turn speed. Is that going to translate to 1 turn? I know you think it does.
Well, Mr. Freeze and Warrior's Charge, they met last start, and yes, it was a 2-turn race at Oaklawn, but I just think there's no question Warrior's Charge has to go if he wants to be effective. So I see Warrior's Charge out in front, Florent Giroux being extremely aggressive from that outside post.
And then Manny Franco aboard Mr. Freeze allows him to run forward and then lay second in the clear. Where does that put Vekoma? Does that put him in the pocket? Now, it's Javier Castellano's job to come out running enough from the inside draw, post 2, to try to create some separation. Make the other speed horses commit. And if they clear off, then it gives you options. And you always want options, particularly when you're on a contender.
So in that scenario, Warrior's Charge out in front, Mr. Freeze right behind him, Vekoma with position maybe behind those two. Where's Mike Smith and McKenzie?
Well, I think after an 1/8 of a mile, McKenzie finds his best stride. He's a big horse, gets his legs up underneath him, and Mike's going to allow him to go forward. Again, trying to avoid the traffic problems of last year. And I think if he gets the opportunity to, he'll try to keep Vekoma stuck in behind horses. That's what a jockey's job is. You want to jockey for position.
Meanwhile, you have Code of Honor, who his trainer and the Hall of Famer Shug McGahee said ran maybe the best race of his career at a 1-turn mile on this track at Belmont. That was in the Dwyer, his comeback from last year's Kentucky Derby, lurking back of the pack. When is John Velasquez, who's won this race 5 times, going to ask the question? We know this horse is pretty push button.
Well, I think Johnny's going to kind of weigh out how the pace scenario is going. He's going to be the lion stalking, waiting to pounce, and he's going to have all of the contenders in his view. I think he's going to follow Vekoma and McKenzie because they're live cover. They're horses that are going to take you around the turn. And I think someplace in here, Johnny's going to start following them, hook up here, come out in the clear, run them down, and I think Code of Honor wins this year's Runhappy Met Mile.
We agree. We both think it's Code of Honor. So many fascinating storylines. Is McKenzie the same horse we saw in this race last year? Big question for him. And can Vekoma be as brilliant today as he was on that sloppy racetrack in the Runhappy Carter?
Well, we've got 3 different styles. One kind of a pace presser stalker in Vekoma, more of a mid-division stalker in McKenzie, and a deep closer in Code of Honor. And I think the deep closer is going to get all the money. That's Jockey 101, the Runhappy Met Mile. Class is dismissed.